Hey all, today I'm going to teach you how to do a refurb with zero cash out of pocket. Doing a refurb with zero cash out of pocket is great if it's your first project because you don't need to save a huge amount for the deposit and for the refurb. You only need to save enough for the deposit because obviously you're going to do the refurb with zero cash out of pocket. If it's not your first project, it's still great because you don't have to take your savings and segregate them to this is my deposit money and this is my refurb money. You can just use your entire savings for the deposit to be able to buy a bigger property, and you can obviously do the refurb with zero cash, and therefore overall you'll be able to buy a bigger property that you can refurb and make even more money from it. As always guys, please remember to drop a like down below so that more people can see my videos. Please also make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you ding that notification bell as well. So this strategy involves using a 0% credit card. So first, obviously a credit card is a great tool to be able to delay your spending. For example, if you haven't made it to payday, you can buy something but not actually pay for it until after payday when you pay off the credit card. It's also a great way to build your credit score, which shows that you're more reliable to banks. You can build your credit score in different ways as well, by just paying monthly bills such as a gym membership or a Netflix subscription, but obviously credit cards can build it much faster. And if you've got a good credit score, you'll get the best and lowest interest rates on any loans that you take out. But obviously guys, please remember that if you don't pay off your credit card within that 30-day limit, you start to incur some pretty killer interest. Credit card interest is usually around 19% per year, but can go up to as high as 30 to 50% per year, which is obviously crazy compared to a mortgage that's at 1 or 2% a year, or a bank loan that might be at say 5 or 3 to 8% for a bank loan. So obviously credit card interest is really high. So obviously you need to make sure that you pay off your credit card each month and don't incur any interest. So how exactly does a 0% interest credit card work, and how is it different from a regular credit card? So obviously a regular credit card, you buy an item and you have to pay for it within 30 days or you start incurring interest. But with a 0% interest credit card, they usually offer introductory offers such as 24 or 28 months of free 0% interest. So you buy an item and you don't actually start incurring interest on it until the end of the 24 or 28 month period. However, on some of these 0% credit cards, there are also some little catches or clauses, whereas it might only be for the purchases in the first 60 days that you're offered this interest-free deal. And actually, if you make a purchase on the 61st day and don't pay for it, you start incurring that interest. So obviously make sure you read the terms and conditions, and obviously make sure you stick to their rules and guidelines, and if there's any minimum payments that you actually have to make on the credit card, be sure to make them so that you can take advantage of this 0% interest offer deal. So why can this be a great way to complete a refurb? Obviously you can use the credit card to pay for bathroom appliances, the kitchen cabinets and countertops, and also the appliances there, the flooring, the paint and bits and pieces like that. But also a lot of the bigger companies such as IKEA or B&Q will actually install the kitchen or bathroom for you, and therefore you can also pay for the labour costs with the credit card as well. So you can basically cover the entire refurb solely with the credit card. And then obviously you can just leave the costs on the credit card, so that means you can use all of your capital for the deposit and not have to worry about having cash on hand to complete your refurb. If you've enjoyed the video so far, be sure to leave a comment below about what videos you'd like me to make in the future. Alternatively, if you've got any questions, drop them down below and I'll be sure to answer them for you. Now, obviously once you've completed your refurbishment, you actually have a bunch of different options as to how you can repay this credit card. Obviously the advantage of using the credit card is that you don't have to pay 15k up front for a refurbishment in 2 or 3 months. You actually have a bunch of different options. The first option is that you could pay an equal chunk every single month for this 24 to 28 month period. For example, if you've got a 15k refurb and you pay that off over a 2 to 3 year period, that's only about £400 a month, which is actually really easy to manage and really easy for you to just cut back on some spending or try and earn a little bit more, and then you can pay off that 400 quid each month really easily. This is obviously really great because you don't have to save up money after you've paid the deposit and bought the house and be able to do your refurb in tiny little chunks. You know, you might do the bathroom 1 month, the kitchen next month, the floor the next month, and then it just takes really long and it's a drawn out process and it keeps you from getting the property rented or sold. It'll also make you feel really confident because obviously you're not paying off a huge chunk like £3,000 in 1 month or £5,000 in 1 month. You're only paying off a really easy, manageable amount of £400 a month. Therefore, you'll feel pretty confident that you can pay off the refurb without going into debt or making your credit score worse. Alternatively, you could just leave the costs on the credit card, and when you come to refinance the property or sell the property in 6 months or a year or 2 years' time, you can obviously use the proceeds from the refinancing or from the sale to pay off the credit card. And obviously, if you've bought a property like I teach in the gap, you've obviously got quite a significant amount of difference between the purchase price and the sale price. So obviously when you sell it, you've got loads of money to pay off the credit card debt and still be left with a huge amount for your next property or your next adventure. Obviously this is a slightly more risky strategy and it might make you feel less confident, because obviously if you don't refinance or sell for the amount that you wanted, you might not have enough to repay the credit card debt. But obviously if you've bought well and you've bought in the gap and you've got a significant difference between the purchase price and your expected sale price, you should definitely have enough money to be able to cover and repay the debt. So obviously buying the gap is all about buying a property that's in need of refurbishment. If you find a road somewhere and most of the properties on this road have sold for about 240,000, if there's a really dodgy looking property there that's definitely in need of refurbishment and it looks like it's had no work done for 20 or 30 or 40 years, this is a great property because you can probably buy this for about 180,000, which is obviously about a £60,000 gap between purchase and sale. Now obviously if you don't go crazy and over improve, such as spending thousands on a new lamp or 20,000 on a new countertop, the refurb will only cost you about 10 to 20k. So obviously then there's a huge amount of profit between the 180 that you paid for the purchase, 10 to 20 that you paid for the refurb, and 240 for the sale price. So why is using a 0% credit card a great way to do a refurb compared to other methods? Obviously a 0% credit card is effectively just like an interest-free loan or free money. The bank are effectively giving you money and they want you to repay it in 2 or 3 years later, but they don't want any extra money as interest for the hassle of lending you money. For example, if you get a standard unsecured bank loan, the banks are probably going to charge you about 3 to 5% interest a year, and you'll only be able to borrow about 25k. Development finance is even more expensive. It has no limits, but they'll typically charge you about 7% a year or 0.5 to 0.6% per month. But obviously with a 0% card, you're getting charged 0% interest, which is obviously way better than the other alternatives. It does obviously have the downside though, that a credit card is never really unlimited and you probably won't even have a limit of up to 25k. But you could just get more than one credit card because obviously a lot of the banks have these offers, so you could get 3 to 4 credit cards if really necessary to be able to fund a huge refurbishment. You could also credit card juggle, which is where if you have one credit card with a 0% interest period of let's say 24 months, and you get to the 23rd month, so obviously just before that period is about to expire, you open up another credit card also with an interest-free period, and you can just transfer the money from credit card 1 over to credit card 2, and then you don't have to pay interest on credit card 1 because obviously it doesn't have any money left on the card, and you've now got credit card 2 with all the money on it and another 24 months interest-free. But obviously credit card juggling never fixes a problem, it's only a temporary solution to delay the problem. So obviously if you can't afford a refurbishment, I definitely wouldn't advise getting a 0% credit card and putting the refurbishment on there because you're still going to have to pay for it at some point. Obviously if you've bought in the gap and you've generated profit on your property, or the property goes up in value, you can obviously sell or refinance the property to get that extra money to repay that credit card. Now some of you might be asking, Tom, what are the best interest-free credit cards? At the time of making this video, MBNA, Barclaycard and Sainsbury's all have 0% interest credit cards with between 26 to 28 months of an interest-free period. These are the best on offer at the moment, but obviously it's best to do a search on Money Supermarket or another comparison website to make sure that you're getting the best and longest interest-free credit card period. Now obviously please make sure that you do pay the minimum payment per the bank's guidelines. This is usually between 1 to 3% of the balance or £10 to £30, whichever is higher. If you don't make this minimum payment each month, the bank can actually refuse and take back their interest-free offer and start charging you interest. But obviously if you pay this minimum payment each month, They won't charge you any interest because you're still on the interest-free offer. The minimum payment is also actually really small. 10 to 30 pounds is obviously tiny compared to, let's say, a 15k refurb that you're about to put on the credit card. If you want to learn more about purchasing property and property investment in general, then feel free to watch some of my other videos, or subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.